know what happens if a fish swallows love potion. Do you?
Maybe they'll fall in love with you. Hermione, bloop, bloop, I love you, bloop.
Oh yes, Ronald. How very grown up of you.
After several years of tumultuous genre whiplash, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince finally behaves like a direct sequel, rather than a soft reboot. It's nice to see EA Brightlight settling down and streamlining the ideas that worked in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix while stripping away the padding and awkward controls. While the story campaign is better than Phoenix, it's also unfortunately on the short side, and has traded away some of the previous entries' charm for an extra layer of polish. Not much has changed adaptation-wise between Phoenix and Prince. Some attempts have been made to tie the story more directly into gameplay, as well as copying set pieces from the film while still alluding to events from the book. Most story missions are either purely plot-driven or introduce a new mechanic or side quest, with very little filler a la recruiting Dumbledore's army in Phoenix. I do have an issue with one of the major story changes, though it's more about a serious missed opportunity. In the game, Albus Dumbledore reopens the Hogwarts Dueling Club in the interest of teaching students to protect themselves against Death Eaters. This introduces a side quest and one of the 4 main gameplay styles. Since both the book and film have a climactic ending scene where Harry gets absolutely destroyed in a one-on-one duel with Severus Snape, I assumed that the Dueling Club was added to build up the player's confidence, leading to a final boss against Snape that is impossible to win. Alas, the actual ending of the game is a string of 5 duels in a row, all of which must be won to continue, and Snape defeats Harry in a cutscene. It is such a missed opportunity, and would have been one of the rare effective uses of cheating AI, but alas, it was not meant to be. I admit I cannot be an impartial judge of the Xbox 360 version of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, since I played Order of the Phoenix on PlayStation 2, but the game looks quite nice. Hogwarts feels friendlier, richer, warmer, and more alive, with greater use of color, simulated natural lighting, and a context-sensitive fisheye lens. The real standout, however, is James Hannigan's score. It's easily my favorite soundtrack of the Potter video games. Sorry, Jeremy Soule. EA Brightlight have wisely toned down the overabundance of Hedwig's theme from Order of the Phoenix, and given Hannigan's music room to breathe. Alas, other attempts to make the game more immersive don't work as well. Harry's sprinting animation in particular is hilarious, with floaty animation, a camera that's way too close for comfort, and exaggerated motion blur. Cloth and hair are often improperly rendered, school uniforms and Quidditch robes noticeably clipped through character models, and Ginny's long red hair has been superglued into chunks. The list of actors lending their voices from the movie has been cut down considerably, from 21 to just 13, even with several new cast members joining, including Jesse Cave as Lavender Brown and Freddie Stroma as Cormac McLagan. So I couldn't find any context for this next part, but I really wanted to show you this. I must stress that the following footage has not been edited in any way, and is presented exactly as it appears in the game.
Hi, Ginny. I've made that shrinking solution for you.
Thanks, Harry. That's brilliant.
You wouldn't believe all the things I had to do on my way back to you. But I'm here now. Shall we go to Hogsmeade?
Oh, sorry, Harry. I've arranged to go with Dean. He's not stopped moaning since I told him I couldn't go, and now I can.
Yeah, Dean, of course. You better go with him. I'll go with Hermione.
See you later, Harry.
Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince's gameplay is a more refined version of Order of the Phoenix. Hogwarts can mostly be explored at one's leisure, and Harry still casts spells with the right analog stick. Thankfully, the camera has been retooled and is more intuitive. It can even be manually controlled by holding down the right trigger and moving the right analog stick, which isn't as awkward as it sounds. Harry's controls in general are much tighter and more responsive than in Phoenix, especially spellcasting, as the game does a much better job recognizing the player's stick movements. Aside from casting spells and exploring, story missions focus on one of 3 different game types: dueling, potion making, and Quidditch. Quidditch is the least developed of the 3, as much like the earlier titles on GameCube, Harry must fly through a predetermined path of rings. It still manages to be entertaining, thanks to excellent camera work and a tight margin of error, adding some much needed urgency. Dueling is now strictly one-on-one compared to the chaotic, messy free-for-alls in Phoenix. Spell effects are more clearly defined, and Prince's duels are, at first, smart and interesting. Unfortunately, Expelliarmus and Levicorpus are absurdly overpowered when combined with Stupefy and a basic knowledge of circle strafing. Almost every dueling opponent in the game is vulnerable to this tactic, even during the final levels. By far the most entertaining part of Prince is potion making. What could have been a simple minigame instead requires a surprising amount of dexterity, micromanagement, and careful tilting of the right analog stick. While early potions are easy to make, players will eventually be forced to juggle between boiling, stirring, adding solid versus liquid ingredients, and shaking bottles before adding their contents to the cauldron, all while racing against a clock that subtracts extra time if the player performs poorly. That being said, colorblind players may have some difficulty with these sections, as the only non-color feedback is subtle controller vibration that may not always kick in on time. It's not just the base gameplay that's changed. Level design has also been retooled. With Voldemort on the loose, the Aurors have locked off parts of Hogwarts to protect the student body. This means that the castle is no longer fully available from the start. Instead, new areas are unlocked in accordance with story progression. Even with these restrictions, however, the playing field is large enough that unless the player goes well out of their way to find locked doors out of sequence, they will rarely feel restricted. The Waypoint System has also been modified. Instead of the hard-to-see footsteps from Phoenix, Harry follows the ghost of nearly headless Nick to his next destination. The one downside is that players must place their waypoints from the pause menu, not the Marauder's map, which feels less immersive, but the trade-off is well worth it. What really stood out to me was the oppressive amount of banter between Nick and Harry. The duo have several unique lines of dialogue for every story objective and major landmark, and Nick will point out collectibles as they pass by.
Hi, Nick. We're on our way to the Great Hall.
Jolly good. If you need a quicker route, you could use the shortcut behind the portrait of Basil Fronsac.
These collectibles serve as a replacement for the admittedly redundant experience point system from Phoenix. There are 125 Hogwarts crests to collect, and another 25 rewarded for collecting mini crests. Even after beating the short campaign in just 3.5 hours, I only had 37 crests, so there is plenty of extra content for those who want to explore.
Maybe he saw your Raxburts.
My... what?
Raxburts. Was he wearing Spectre specs? You can see Raxburts through them. That's how I found you. Your brain's full of them.
Whether this game will appeal to you is highly dependent on personal taste. Do you want a Harry Potter game that makes you feel like a wizard, or a student at Hogwarts? Ultimately, this game is more satisfying at providing the latter. Half-Blood Prince's main campaign is very short, but it's also filled with optional content and secrets all over the castle. It may not have been worth the full price purchase back in 2009, but almost a decade later, it provides a decent amount of open world fun, intriguing minigames, exploration, and comedy. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince gets 3 dead Dumbledores out of 5. So, have you played Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince? And what did you think of it? Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And if you're feeling generous, why not contribute to my Patreon? Join me next time, where we'll be checking back in with our favorite luchador, and for once, we'll be playing a game that actually came out this year. See you later, folks.